Hey everybody, I'm so excited because this is the first time we are filming the live version. At least you guys are going to actually see me as I record this. Since I'm recording this for Spotify as well, you guys are going to be getting the audio from my camera, and then the audio that gets edited and published and everything will actually go onto Spotify if you guys want to, hear it straight through. But on this video, I won't be making any edits or anything like that, so it's just going to be you guys seeing how I film my podcast with some of the breaks in between, and I guess us just kind of dialoguing. So thank you guys so much for checking this out, for joining me for my podcast today, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. If you want to go check out my other episodes, you can do that on this profile as well here on YouTube, but you can also go find me on Spotify at The Awakening, so make sure you go check us out. But without further ado, let's go straight into today's podcast. Okay. Now I just have to everything. Let me get. Dear Diary, sometimes I think the only reason I want to be famous is because the people who actually deserve to be seen never are. They're the ones holding signs on the corner while everyone drives by pretending not to see, the ones with beautiful minds who were too busy surviving to go viral, the ones who gave everything just to make it to the next morning and still get talked about like they're nothing. I think about them all the time. I see them when I'm walking, when I'm posting, when I'm working, even when I'm dreaming. They are the reason I keep going. I'm not chasing fame for the sake of being liked. I'm chasing visibility because the world only listens to the loudest mic, and I want to use mine to echo the voices no one's ever bothered to hear. I want to show the world that humanity actually looks like. Man, messed up my words. I want to show the world what humanity actually looks like. The raw kind, the flawed kind, the kind that holds your hand when you're breaking and tells you that your life still matters even when you've got nothing left to give. It's weird. I think if I didn't have this calling in me, I probably wouldn't want to be in the public eye at all. I don't need the spotlight, but I do need the power that comes with it. Because when you have power, you can change narratives. And when you change narratives, you change lives. I've always been the person who saw what others missed. The way the waitress flinches when someone raises their voice, the tired eyes on the man mopping the floor long after everyone else went home, the little sighs people let out when they think no one's listening. I listen. I always have, and it hurts sometimes because you can't unsee suffering once you've really seen it. But maybe that's why it was given to me, this vision, this heart, this aching drive to fix what feels too big to fix. People assume fame makes you shallow, but I want to be living proof that it can actually be the opposite. I want to walk into rooms filled with $1 million dresses and flashbulbs and still talk about the kid who gave me half his sandwich on a bus once when I had no money and no plan. I want to wear couture and speak about compassion in the same breath. I want to go to Oh my God. Why can't I speak right now? Okay. This part, it can be tough for me just because this is the only written part in the entire podcast is the entry, obviously, because I write it and then I'm reading it aloud, and then the rest of the episode is just me talking, so I don't stumble as much. So bear with me, y'all. I'm sorry. This is why I said, guys, here on YouTube is really just, this is like the BTS through and through. If you want to hear the whole podcast edited all the way through without all these stops, then go find it on Spotify at The Awakening. All the info will be in the description. But I want to be living proof that can actually be the Why am I messing up right now? Okay. But I want to be the living proof that it can actually be the opposite. I want to walk into rooms filled with $1 million dresses and flash bulbs and still talk about the kid who gave me half his sandwich on a bus once when I had no money and no plan. I want to wear couture and speak about compassion in the same breath. I want to go to galas and redirect every camera toward the activists, the caregivers, the survivors who were told they'd never matter. Because they do. They matter so much that my whole life is being built around proving it. I don't care if I'm misunderstood in the process. I don't care if people roll their eyes and say I'm too much or too emotional or doing too much. Let them say it. Let them laugh. I'll still be out here fighting for something real. Fame is just a vehicle. The real destination is justice, is grace, is love. If I'm going to have a spotlight, I'm not going to waste it shining on myself. I'm going to tilt it outward onto every single person who thought their light went out. I want them to see themselves in me and remember that they were never invisible. They were just waiting for someone to finally look. This dream is not about me. It never was. It's about all of us. And I'm not stopping till the whole world sees that. XOXO, LJ. Okay, intro completed. So let me type this out as Dear Diary. Oh, well, I guess the intro isn't actually completed. Now we complete the actual intro. So I wanted to talk about how I even came up with this idea, and it was mainly because of the fact that I was talking to someone and I was just kind of reflecting on my future, on where I wanted to go and what I wanted with my platform. You know, it's like, well, why do you want to be famous? Why do you want to be a celebrity? You know, and I kept thinking to myself that my dream has always been to help people, and especially to use philosophy or just my abilities when it comes to empathy or compassion or my writing or how I see the world as a way to try and help the world come to a higher level of consciousness. That's what I like to say. I'm hoping that through my words and my actions and the way I show up, if I were to build a massive audience, I would be able to use that platform as a way to jumpstart progressive positive change. I think there's a lot of things that popular influencers and celebrities could be doing that they just are not because I think they're bad people, but I think maybe they just don't have certain creative ideas like I do, and you know, that's my unique gift to give to the world. So, you know, I was thinking about that. I was thinking what my future will look like, what, you know, I want out of life, and you know, especially after getting all of this really positive feedback and response from my followers on Instagram and occasionally on YouTube as well about the topics that I talk about and how people are so moved, it's given me so much more faith in humanity and in the, you know, mission I have in my life, the journey that I'm bringing everybody with me on. And it makes me very happy. So that's kind of what this was about. You know, I wanted to talk about the difference between fame versus visibility, because of course they're kind of the same, they kind of go hand in hand, but I wanted to separate them through my lens. I wanted to show you guys like the difference to me when it comes to fame versus visibility, because for me, I'm not necessarily searching for fame, I'm mostly just searching for visibility. In our modern society, internet individuals get respected so much and they're provided so much opportunities and so much money and so much resources that, again, they use for themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they could also be using a lot of that for others, and there's just nobody out there who wants to dedicate their time into doing that, and I just happen to be somebody who does want to, and that's what this is all for. It's to build a platform where I can utilize my community, my positive energy to actually make some positive change happen for our society and just restore humanity into our freaking faith right now. People are losing faith in humanity, and I get it. We have so much going on all over the world. In America right now, we're struggling. I get it. But we cannot lose faith in humanity, because the day that we lose hope in ourselves is the day that we have lost the world, okay? So don't lose sight on it, okay? I know things are intense and ugly and bad in the world right now, but please don't forget that love still exists, and the more that you force it to bloom, the larger the garden will grow and the quicker it will too. So let's go on to segment 1, y'all. Cranking it out. I'm just like, because sometimes these take a long time, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, it's a lot. Because I have so much to say, like, people read my writing and sometimes people are like, how can you post so much writing so frequently? Especially because I post like paragraphs and paragraphs. I'm like, guys, I have so much going in my head that writing is extremely easy for me. I mean, I write like 10 million diary entries in a single day, if I'm being honest with you. That's why I'm trying to expand, because I'm frustrated that people are only getting a small fraction of what's actually going on. My entries on Instagram are nothing in comparison to the writing that I have in my Google Drive alone. So I have tons of stuff coming and a lot of expansions that are going to be happening, guys. So I'm very excited. We're going to be building. Things are going to happen. We're spreading some joy. You guys are helping me. Every time you like, every time you comment, every time you share posts on Instagram, on here, on TikTok, it really does help. And just know that when you are helping me, you are helping our future, because that is what I'm doing. I really don't, it's not for money. It's not for popularity. I just am really disappointed with how things are going in the world right now. And I just understand the power behind social media influence and, like, you know, just being a public figure, having that, you know, public image. I recognize its power, and I want to gain that power so I can use it somehow for good. You know, I hope people are getting where I'm going. But that, and if you guys read any of my writing, then it will all make sense as well. So that's why we have a philosophical podcast where I'm trying to wake y'all up to the crazy stuff they don't want to talk about, okay? So yeah. Okay, let's get into segment 1. So I just want to talk about the undeserved humanity, okay? I feel like we never talk about the people who are unhoused or the people who are overworked. I mean, there's so many people who are completely overlooked in our community, and part of that reason why is because they are so misunderstood. You know, I know a lot of times I do a lot of volunteer work when it comes to like the homelessness here in California. I go out into the parks and I hand out food at least once a month, and I just, it's really humbling to see all the things that are going on. I mean, so many people are afraid to come and volunteer with us because they have this ideology and belief in place about homelessness that makes them fearful of individuals who are unhoused. So what we end up happening is we go there, or I volunteer not just with one organization but with different ones, and we lack people, we lack help, because, you know, we may invite people or ask them, but they're just too scared. They'd rather go to a shelter. And there's a lot of danger with a shelter, because a lot of shelters are actually more dangerous and they carry less like individuals who truly need the help. So, you know, what people don't realize is that the homeless shelters, when you go there to like offer support and all that stuff, the people you're supporting, like, yes, they need the help, but a lot of the times they're like druggies or dangerous individuals because of mental health issues and stuff like that. Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm trying to give you guys a genuine glimpse into what I have personally seen, what unhoused individuals have talked to me about on their own, that I've interviewed on the streets, and this is what they have told me. So it's very dangerous in those shelters. So what ends up happening is we get a lot of kids, a lot of families, they don't even look like they're unhoused. That's the really sad part. They don't even look like they're unhoused, guys. They're like families, okay? The minimum wage here in California, it doesn't allow for somebody to have a nice apartment here in LA. So a lot of people, they could be working at McDonald's and still homeless. Like, that's what people are not realizing. So what ends up happening is those individuals get overlooked and they get stereotyped, and then those stereotypes isolate them. And they get isolated, alienated, and then we get this subconscious ingrained belief that those individuals are not necessarily a menace to society, but just like the hidden underbelly that nobody should care about. When we see unhoused individuals on the streets, most people attempt not to look at them. And I get it, the discomfort makes you feel uncomfortable, but just imagine what it must feel like to have to beg for necessities on the side of the street. Okay, like, that's all I gotta say to that. It's really humbling, and then there's really, it's impossible to try and share with someone. It's something you have to experience. It's something you experience only through boots on the ground working. I've just done so much volunteer work, especially with homelessness and animals especially too, and it can just be so like heart-wrenching to see all of that, you know. And it reminds me again and again exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, because this is why I talk about visibility. Visibility is so important because society only listens to what it sees and hears. Okay, so visibility, it's kind of like validation. Today, that's like building credit. When you have a good social media platform and you're trying to spread a message, that's like having good social credit. You know, at least that's how I look at it. So when I'm building a platform, building, friends, that's what I like to call, I hate saying followers or fans. It just feels so cold. So as a Quaker, we call everybody friend. So I like to say my community of friends. It just feels more appropriate. So as I build my community of friends, I'm just like, I want to be able to use that. I just know I've inspired so many people to share kindness and positivity in their own individual lives, whether that's to themselves or to the world around them. It doesn't really matter, because even when you're kind to yourself, you end up being kind to the world as well. So I always feel like it's so important that people understand that, because you get so many eyeballs on you, so many people get to see you, and you get really a lot of respect and a lot of credit when you have a large platform or an established persona online. It's just the reality. And the more people that can hear my positive messages, maybe the more people I can change through my philosophy, because I just believe that there's an easier way for people to be existing than the way that we are right now. I think there's so many ways that even our government could actually benefit and really just win too with some of the ideas that I have for the future long term that I have to wait on because I don't have the following or the resources to achieve those goals yet. So, for me, that's what it's all about. It's about getting a platform. It's about getting that visibility so we can use that visibility to leverage stories that have not been heard. I've been doing a lot of things, boots on the ground, as I said earlier, volunteering and meeting a lot of people, interviewing individuals who are unhoused, and that has just been an incredible journey. I think it's really interesting getting to talk to them, hearing what it's like, especially hearing what it was like in the shelters and stuff like that. It breaks my heart, really, because I see these children. I actually helped to found the children's department within a Piece of Sunshine organization, which is a nonprofit organization that helps to raise awareness, not just for homelessness, but also for sex trafficking. And so, it's just, you see a lot of things, you hear a lot of stories, and it humbles you really quickly. You learn to appreciate even the smallest things that you have, even the tiniest of joys. And honestly, once you start having this gratitude towards even the tiniest of things in your life becomes so much happier, because you stop expecting so much. You stop waiting for various stipulations in order to be happy. This way, I'm searching for excuses to celebrate. I find every day I search for a reason to celebrate or to be happy, because life is so boring. Why do we have to wait until certain times to celebrate? Why do we have to wait in order to be happy? We don't have to play by the rules of everybody else just because everybody else does it. If you don't want Christmas to be on December 25th, don't put it on December 25th. Do what you want, okay? It's just that, my point is, be yourself always. Do what you want, okay? And understand that it's okay to not do things the way that they're supposed to be done, essentially. If it's not hurting anybody and it's not hurting you, go ahead and do what you gotta do. I personally think that the more happier we have, the more happiness we have within ourselves, and the happier our society is as a whole, the better our just overall culture will become. Because right now what I see is just a lot of hurt people hurting other people because they're hurting, and I don't see that being productive for us long term. I think it is partially to blame for why we have so many negative leaders currently. I think it's because we're subconsciously just, attracted to a form of power that's toxic, essentially, but because of the fact that we've been so comfortable with toxic that we've gotten used to it and now search for it, if that makes sense. Almost like how people do with relationships, but I think it genuinely isn't just about relationships. I think it also ties into leadership, because when we look at celebrities, when we look at other individuals, we start to associate them sometimes as idols, and when you idolize somebody, you kind of create a subconscious bond with them. And anytime you create a bond with someone, you're most likely using one of the attachment theories. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why I'm like, okay, well, if we are creating a bond then it doesn't necessarily need to be in reality for that bond to be real. So people are idolizing individuals, making them, you know, feel as if it's a real bond to that person, and it will then heavily impact the way that they kind of like perceive things, the way that they go about life. So these celebrities end up having so much power over their followers and their individual decision making, because let's say like somebody who doesn't know much about makeup, they go online to see like an influencer or content creator who has like a similar body type. Maybe not body type, similar color type. I was going to try another product, but let's just say there's a content creator who talks about makeup, and there's somebody who's looking for makeup recommendations for their skin tone. They look for an influencer with that skin tone, and they search for that foundation that they're using, because obviously the fact that they have the same color. So that's great. It works for business. It's awesome. Yeah, awesome, right? But nobody is actually being helped. Nothing real is happening. It's just superficial, surface level advertising. It's just a newer version of commercial. You know, it's just commercial. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. They're providing entertainment and talent, so it's still worth it. I'm just saying that there's not enough content being balancing the scale. There's not enough people pushing others into an awakening type of, like the show, but there's not enough people trying to awaken people into a more grounded reality that's rooted in authenticity and integrity, you know? That's why I released my Dear Diary series. That's why I believe so heavily in philosophy, because again, if I were given that power, that visibility, that influence on another person's life, me being positive, me showing people like, hey, this is what volunteering is actually like, this is what you need to be hearing now, it could change people's lives in a way that could positively impact them, and maybe even positively impact our entire community. And that is the goal. I'm trying to encourage people to want to grow and to, I don't know, just to be happy and to stop being so strict within themselves, because life is short, man. We can't keep living like this. We can't keep acting like we're fine when we're clearly not. Things are falling apart and people are trying to dance like there's nothing happening. Okay, making TikToks when World War III is right around the corner, okay? And so I'm like, we need to start getting real with each other and connecting before, I don't know, before something bad happens. I just truly believe that love, kindness, empathy, compassion is the answer. It's the root to everything that exists. So I'm telling you, you travel anywhere in the world, you don't need to speak the language. But if you're kind, if you're loving, that's something anyone can feel. It's the universal language. The universal language is love and kindness. A smile is recognized everywhere. Okay? Just keep that in the back of your mind. You can go anywhere in the world. If you smile, a person's going to associate that with something positive, especially if they know that you're from like a westernized country, especially. So that's just to say, positivity will always be recognized. You don't need a language to speak kind, you know. Okay, so that was segment 1, y'all. That was kind of long, but I don't know. I'm hoping it was long enough. I have like cat fur all over my face. That's why I'm like scratching my face. I feel like these little tiny hairs are like on my, sticking to my face, but I don't know where they're at. So I'm just like, oh, where is it? Where is it? Ah. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about too is the difference between, you know, fame and influence, because I want to redefine success here. I want to use fame as a tool and not a trophy. And what I mean by that is that there's a difference between being famous and being impactful. So when you're famous, you can have impact to a certain degree, yes, but the type of impact I'm talking about more so refers to like systemic, you know, cultural shifts, stuff like that, things that really heavily impact our culture, our society, our economy. We don't have influencers or celebrities or people like that who are very focused on trying to be impactful. A lot of the times they're just trying to fuel and satisfy other people's needs. And I don't think it's a conscious thing that people are doing. I just think it's the music industry as a whole. So what I mean by that is people are getting emotionally isolated subconsciously. They experience emotions, whether they're proper or not, and search for music or art or whatever that replicates the emotions they are experiencing. So if those individuals are talking about certain issues that are happening within our community, and that person just so happens to experience some of those issues, they're only resonating with the story. No change is actually happening. Are you raising awareness? Technically, maybe so. But a lot of times the individuals who are trying to preach this knowledge have a very niched demographics. And when you have a niche demographic, your ability to impact the individuals who can actually promote change for what you're looking for won't be interested because it's too niched. Or it's just not something that that audience is that interested in. So what I mean by that is, I hate to bring it up, but I'll say somebody like Kendrick Lamar. I think he's very talented. I think that he does do a lot of great things, but his music and the actions he's done has not led to any systemic changes. Nothing has happened in our economy. No political change has happened. Nothing real. No systems have been adjusted. He hasn't gotten any policies put in place. He hasn't really done anything for his neighborhoods. Nothing real has actually happened. And again, I don't want to say this is bad. I'm just saying it's harmful when we glorify the bare minimum and pretend like there's not more that could be happening. He has the resources and the tools to be able to make real impactful change, but he doesn't do it because it doesn't sell. Sure, yeah, okay, he's, educating people and doing all those great things, but you also have to think to yourself, right? Him preaching these things makes him money. It makes him a lot and a lot and a lot of money. A lot of money, okay? So you got to realize that eventually if you keep preaching the same thing over and over again, at some point you're going to start doing that for fame and not so much for impact. And it's not to say that they're bad people or he's a bad person or whatever. It's just my theory on the reality of what's going on. I haven't seen any policies changed. Not only that, but let's be real. We know who our president is. We know that Donald Trump is our president. And when that is our, figure, essentially, that also comes with a lot of subconscious energy when it comes to power dynamics in America right now. We have to recognize that the scale is tipped towards older white men here, especially ones who have wealth. And because of that, you have to, if you want to be able to make any real change happen, you have to know how to talk to them. Because who he's talking to right now, I'm just going to be real with you, a majority of his fan base comes from minorities. And unfortunately, minorities do not have any power whatsoever within this country. It's one of the biggest things that we are upset about to begin with, is because we recognize they don't have any power. So him preaching all this information to a demographic of individuals who systemically have no power equates to no change happening, right? So, and people don't look at it that way. They don't see that in the moment because they're so focused on the fact that he's this famous rapper that they love so much, and you can continue to love him. He's extremely talented. Love him. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying there's a difference between being famous and being impactful. There's a difference. He's not impacting anything. He's famous, but he's not impacting anything. Yeah, so they didn't learn anything from that halftime show. All they learned was about his bell-bottom pants, okay? That was like the trend for a really long time after that, and that's my point. No change happened. Because an old white man like Donald Trump is not going to respect, I just put some boogers in my chain. I'm sorry, but he's not going to respect that. Will he do his weird little dumbass dance to it? Yeah, because he's aware that if he does that, he can probably try and attempt to gain the African American vote. Let's just be real, okay? He doesn't care. He doesn't want to listen to a black guy screaming the N-word over and over again and cursing all the time. There's nothing wrong with speaking like that, but it's just not the type of way of speaking or carrying yourself that's going to really impact them enough to want to change and respect our entire demographic of people, okay? That's all I'm saying. There's a difference between being famous. There's a difference between being famous and being impactful. That is my real point. And I just wish that people had more purpose-driven, presence. And it's like they don't realize that your platform is your mic and how you use it determines who hears what. So whatever it is that you're putting out into the world, you'll attract individuals who you know, kind of like have similar energy to what you're looking for, because we like to search for things that are our interests. But at the same time, if our interests are always things that are shallow or superficial, eventually we get burnt out as consumers, which is what's happening. Now people are feeling oversaturated with shallow content, and that's partially why my platform has slowly been growing within the last year, is because of the fact that people really like how vulnerable I am. They like that I'm real, that I talk about my feelings and I don't hold back. And, you know, it's because of the fact that people are so curated nowadays. And I don't think people are necessarily being curated on purpose. I think a lot of it has to do with fears due to insecurities. I think a lot of people don't feel like they're good enough as themselves. So they come up with these versions of themselves that are like spin-offs to their own personal reality as a way to protect themselves from potential rejection. Because rejection to the self is much more painful than rejection to an image that isn't really you. But the downside with that, and this is the paradox that they experience here in California, I've noticed, is that once you create a persona and become successful in that persona, and it has nothing to do with you, you really go through an identity crisis, because you don't know who loves you and who loves your persona, you know, because you've gotten so good at playing this role that it's like, oh my God, who actually knows me and who's just here for the role, you know? And that puts a lot of people in some very dangerous mental health like territories. And that's why I always tell people, I'm like, when you're just yourself right out the bat, like if you're new into content creation or whatever, just be yourself right out the bat, okay? Trying to hide stuff and trying to be weird, it's not gonna work, especially not in this century. People are just gonna find it somehow. So just be you. If you're not a great person, hiding it isn't gonna make a difference. So maybe just heal internally so you don't hurt others on any platform. That would probably be the best way to, you know, kind of do that. Because right now I just feel like people are out there and they're just making content, saying random things, and it just frustrates me how so many people are just like famous nowadays for like literally nothing. They don't do anything. They don't like positively contribute back to our society, and yet they're so massively like famous. Some of them don't even have any talents, and yet they're so famous, and we give them so much power and platforms. And I'm like, why are you giving power to somebody who only takes from you? What does that say about our society and what we expect from our leaders? What does that say about us? You're falling in love with someone who literally only takes your money, right? That's literally all they do. Your favorite celebrity, they don't know who you are. They don't care about you. They'll never wish you happy birthday unless they know who you are. Or you pay for it, right? Or you pay for a ticket to go see them. Or you comment on their post, which helps them get paid. Or like, all you're doing is helping them and getting absolutely nothing in return, because they don't actually care about you. They sell you the products by saying, this is a good product for you, but it's at a price, right? Like, what I'm trying to say is just that we've glorified this ideology of loving things that don't love us back. And I think part of that is because we all have this certain level of like ingrained, like self-sabotaging belief that leadership and love and all those things are kind of supposed to be one-sided, when in reality it doesn't have to be. And so that's why I'm excited to build my platform, because I'll be coming up with creative ideas to actually, I don't know, I'll be trying to come up with solutions to give my audience like equal value, so that when I do charge them and when I don't, because I do want to have some like meetups and stuff that are free, but if I do charge them for things, I want it to be something that's valuable. I want it to be something that I know like, hey, they're going to learn something about themselves in this, because that's what I want to do. I'm a philosopher at heart, so like for me, I want to give products that make people want to change their lives, you know? That's kind of the goal. My goal is to change lives through my words, I guess you could say, especially my writing. I wish I could say my pen, but modern day era, now it's my keyboard. Okay, segment 3, let's crank it out. I like this topic though, this is fun. I should turn this off, this volume, because it keeps going off. It's okay. It's all good in the hood. So one of the things I don't really talk about a whole lot, but I will be kind of talking about more in the future, is the fact that I am actually a genius. And it's really crazy to even say that out loud, honestly, but When I was 8 or 9 years old, I took a test, came back that I was gifted and, you know, a genius. It kind of changed the way that I had to do schooling. I had to get a tutor because I would get the answers, but I wouldn't use the traditional methods. So they would have to train me on how to do school in the way that other people did it, even though I was always right. And it was never on purpose. It's just that they couldn't possibly score me or really monitor my progress if I wasn't following the traditional curriculum. So that's why I had to get a tutor, literally, which is ironic because most people get tutors because they're struggling in school. I wasn't struggling in school. I just didn't know how to get the answers in the way they wanted. I would invent my own equations. I'd invent my own methods, and that's kind of how they recognized that I was genius. Then we fast forward again, 17 years later, and I decided to do the test again. And here we are again, and it says the same thing. And so I have like this, now it's cross-domain genius. So I'm not just a genius in one domain, I'm a genius in multiple domains. One of them is obviously philosophy, writing, and another one is empathy. And like I have this insane, uncanny gift of recognizing and noticing things that other people just cannot see. It's part of the reason why people can talk to me like they've known me forever, even if they've known me for 30 minutes, and why my writing comes across as so emotional. That's why. It's because I am gifted in harnessing emotions, how to experience feelings and things like that, and then translate them into a way that others can see as universal. That is one of my genius domains. And so I've always been able to recognize just like micro expressions, energy shifts. I can feel everything like instantly. It's like instantaneously. You know, I'm really good at not really showing that, but I can read people really well. I can tell if they're hiding something. I can tell if they're uncomfortable. I can tell if they're insecure. I can tell if they're sad. I can tell if they're tired. I can tell everything from like a single glance. I don't say anything. I never say anything. Like when people talk to me at the events and stuff like that, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to, you know, let them know that I see them, you know, but I do. And so I try to like kind of show people that through eye contact. Like I hope that, you know, when I really look at them and really show that I'm listening, that they understand that I truly care, I truly see. I just know that I can't show all of that right now, if that makes sense. So I feel like people can pick up on that. Like they pick up on how I hug everybody. Like I've known them my whole life. There's a reason for that. When I can tell that somebody has very stressful energy, I hug them even more, even longer. It could be a complete stranger, but I feel the energy. And if I feel the energy, I feel like I need to hug them even longer. Like I need to really give them that feeling of familiarity that they probably don't get from anyone. So and so that's kind of what is a part of that, you know. I have a lot of other domains which I'm still kind of learning about, and I guess I'll talk about that stuff more in the future. But you know, that's just kind of explained how my vision has shaped my entire purpose, you know, and how it's just like hard to carry sometimes, because when you can see things that other people can't see, you become a mirror to other people's insecurities, okay? And it's not even on purpose, but it's like when you walk with this level of authenticity and integrity in a world of people who are afraid of themselves, your ability to be yourself becomes intimidating to those individuals who can't do the same. So like, you know, I can make friends or be in relationships with men and things will go great in the beginning, but the feeling that I give them of that freedom of finding themselves again, if they're not ready to truly see that freedom, that happiness, that feeling, that loving sense of energy and happiness they experience starts to become scary. So even though they may not like dislike me or whatever, it becomes too intense because they're afraid of who they are when they're with me. They're afraid of how happy they are. They're afraid of that childlike wonder that they hide so much, because so many people spend a lot of their life and all of their time trying to suppress their inner child, that when you show them their inner child back to them, they just might quiver at the mirror, you know, they flinch. And I wouldn't change anything, of course, but at the end of the day, I just know that that's kind of what helped me to harness my purpose. I was like, I want to awaken people's inner child again. I want to show people that the world really is truly not as scary as we think it is. Like, I feel like people make it way worse than it actually is. When being vulnerable, being honest, and having your actions line up with what you do and vice versa, there's so much freedom in it. Like, so many people think that vulnerability is weak, but it's the biggest strength that there is. There's so many times when I don't want to tell someone the truth because I know it could hurt me, but I do anyways, and guess what? It doesn't hurt me. But if I did lie or I withhold the truth, I probably would have had a bad experience, you know? Because sometimes our fear, it talks to us and makes us believe that listening to it is just the hottest, sexiest thing to do, right? Like, it's just so seductive to listen to our fears. But it keeps us blind to the fact that we're self-sabotaging a whole other part of ourselves, and we don't even know it because we're so focused on feeling comfortable where we're at that we aren't even realizing how much we're sabotaging ourselves. You know, we only get one life, and no matter what you believe in when it comes to afterlife, right now is what we have. So focusing on your fears, focusing on the things that scare you and trying to avoid things, that's not how you should be living your life. It's just not. You shouldn't be living your life in a fear-based mentality. You have no control over anything. Stop trying to act like you have control. Trying to force the world to warp around your mold isn't going to make you hurt any less. It's not going to take away the heartbreaks and the days when you're sad. If anything, you're just adding more pain to what life already has. Because you got to understand this, right? Let's look at a human lifespan in entirety. Once you pass away, and this sounds kind of grim, but we're just going to look at it. Once you pass away and you look over in your entire life, no matter whether or not you had played the cards perfectly right, you would have experienced pain, right? No matter how you play the game, you will experience pain. So, would you rather experience the same amount of pain and be sad because you know that pain exists, or would you rather experience the same amount of pain, but in between each time is just a vibrant happiness that doesn't know how to quit? Because I would rather live the latter, and that's what I've started doing. Because you got to understand, like, I wear my heart on my forehead. That's what I like to say. As I wear my heart on my forehead. And so many people can look at that as naive, but I honestly don't see it as the same. I think it's actually quite the opposite. I think it's mature because I'm being real. I'm not afraid to say, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. This is, like, I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say, hey, I like you. I love you. I want to be with you. I'm not afraid to say that. That doesn't make me weak. That makes me strong. What's weak is not being able to tell the truth because you're so afraid of who you are. That's weak. Let's not get it twisted. It's just that we live in a society of weak people who want to try and convince themselves that they're not weak. So we're trying to rewrite the narrative and try and make it seem like the people who want to be vulnerable, honest, and have integrity and authenticity are the ones who are too much when they are not. Normalizing deceit, normalizing masking, normalizing and glamorizing things that harm us, that is weak. Because we're only doing that so we can avoid the truth of the fact that we're self-sabotaging our own happiness. People don't want to admit that they are their own worst enemy, that they are their own downfall, because if they admit that, they have to admit that their life needs to change, and change is scary for so many people. They approach change like it's something that's bad. And that's another thing. I say approach because everything is like in life is about perception. So if you look at a problem and you perceive it as that, a problem, then your solutions are already going to be limited. Even if you were trying to be as creative as possible, your solutions will still be limited, based off the perception of how you're approaching it. If you, however, approach it from the mindset of like, what is this? What can it be? What will it be? What would it be? What was it? You know, you have much more playground for excitement. You get so lost in curiosity that you forget about the negativity. That's kind of how I live my life. I'm like, look, I'm just gonna stay curious, educate myself on random things, write, try and help people in the ways that I can, and be myself, and show to the world that vulnerability and being yourself is enough to build a platform. People will love you just as you are. I mean, you don't have to like get a Brazilian or is that what it is? A Brazilian butt lift. Yes, you don't need to get one of those and lip injections and all the stuff going on. You can if you want to, but at the same time, I don't want that to start becoming a trend now where like BBLs are for breakfast. I know women who like waited for their 18th birthday so they could go and get their first BBL. It's just so bad. It's so bad. I'll save that for a whole other episode, but that is so bad. It's so bad. Just so bad. I'm sorry, guys. It just makes me a little upset that we're like that. But yeah, let's talk about how too much is too much. It's not too much. It's exactly enough. Like, I want to reclaim emotional intensity as a form of deep care, not weakness, and push back against society's fear of vulnerability and feeling. Because, like, seriously, guys, people want to feel good, especially right now. So the more that you are happy, the more that you feel good, the more you make others feel good by association. They feel good in your presence because you feel good. And that makes you fun and to be around, and it makes people feel good around you. And so because of that, it's like, just be real, be yourself, be vulnerable. Like, if you're not having a great day or you haven't had great weeks, say that. You don't have to go into detail about what's going on, but be real. Don't just be like, oh yeah, everything's fine. I don't lie. I'm like, no, some bad stuff was going on, but I am okay now. Like, and that's the truth. I don't want to be like, everything is perfectly fine all the time, because I just know all the things. I don't know shit. I don't know anything. That's why it was so crazy when they told me, oh yeah, you're gifted, you're a genius. I'm like, are you serious? There's no way. I don't know anything. I know a lot of things, but I also don't know a lot of things. I'm like, how in the world how is that possible? But it's all about the way that your brain thinks, the way that it processes information, and how it kind of like crosses domains with its thought patterns. So, it's just, I don't know. I really hope that we can start to understand that we should be embracing vulnerability, because when we don't, we really, really are creating a society of extremely hurt people, and we really do hurt each other. Our friendships nowadays don't seem to be as deep as they should be anymore. Like, people don't even date properly. Like, all these people a lot of people that I know who are in relationships are not in healthy ones. It's like, and they think that they're healthy ones because they've been sustainable for so long, but sustenance doesn't mean anything when it's toxic, you know? And a lot of times people just don't want to admit that the dynamic is toxic because of various biases, and that can be frustrating. And I'm just like, guys, we need to start being real here. If you're being real with yourself, you're not happy, but you don't want to be real with yourself because you've been so convinced that asking for what you need and having high standards and high values, that equates to being too much. So instead of being quote unquote too much, I am going to just not have high standards and accept the bare minimums. That's what's been going on. I'm like, okay guys, if my bare minimums is your high standards, then there's a problem. Like, Houston, we have got a problem, and I need to fly out of Texas, because there is no way that would be okay. Are you kidding me? No. I have extremely high standards, extremely high values, but I attract good men who already understand them before I walk into the door, so I don't really have to worry too much. But I hear some stories, and I'm like, golly, that is very unfortunate that a dude would do that. Like, just very unfortunate. But I just hope that we can reclaim it. I'm just so upset. I really want people to understand that there's really nothing to fear within vulnerability. It's such a beautiful thing. It connects people. It's just that we're so afraid of connection now. And these big corporations, these big leaders, they try to convince us that connection is weakness, because the more separated we are, the more isolated we are, the more they can profit off of us. So that's what people really seriously need to understand, is that they profit more off of us the more isolated we are. Unless you're somebody who's isolated and off grid with their own like sustainable living type of situation, they're profiting off of the fact that you're isolated. And so the more that they can train you to believe that isolation is healthy, safe, good, calm, whatever the fuck, the more they are going to, you know, push that into everyday life. So much so that you start to believe it's normal, and you fear anything that questions it. I mean, it's a whole entire cycle. It's really scary and upsetting that this is what they do. But this is why they try to show to us that you have to be straight arrow, make your money, go through the corporate ladder, because that is what benefits them. That's what benefits them, literally. If you're isolated, focused on climbing the corporate ladder, that means you're going to be spending all of your time and money investing in products that educate you on the corporate ladder, clothing, that makes you, you know, look like the person who's on the corporate ladder. You know, work for corporations that convince you if you keep climbing, eventually you'll reach the top of the corporate ladder. All three of those pillars, they're profiting off of, right? So it's like, but this is my whole point. It's like, what in the world are we doing, guys? We're idolizing, valuing, and searching for things that only take from us, and then being shocked when we get nothing in return. That goes from relationships, public leaders, celebrities, and no offense, but even our president, guys. Come on, he's taking so much from us and not really doing anything positive for the world at all. And that's my point. It's like we're expected to be happy for crumbs. And I don't mean just in politics, I mean in general. And that's where I'm like, we need to stop doing this. We need to have higher standards, guys, in all the realms, and all of the realms, and all of the realms. We need to have higher standards, because this is too much. Vulnerability isn't something that we should be fearing. It's something we should be fearing what the world would look like if we had none. You know, people are biologically designed for bonding and partnership and friendship and love and all these things. You need it in order to survive. So, like, it's not going to go away just because you got hurt by mommy or got hurt by somebody you dated. Your desire for love and your biological need for closeness is not going to change. So the more that you keep trying to deny it, the more you're proving my point. Okay, that's just it. The more you're proving your point, you're hurting yourself in order to fit into a mold of people who monetize off of your downfall. Congratulations for that. Congratulations to buying into your own misery. That sounds harsh, y'all, but it's true. Definitely comment down below if you guys get what I'm talking about when I talk about the corporate ladder, because, like, it's just a lie in fancy clothing. That's the best way I could put it. It's a lie in fancy clothing. It's a lie in fancy clothing. And yeah, so if you guys are wondering what I'm looking at, I make these little outlines, like little bullet points, so I can, like, remember from each segment, like, which pillar topics I want to talk on. But everything is straight off the top. I really wanted, like, my content to be more so like lecture style. Since I am a philosopher and people are so fascinated in my writing, I thought that people might be interested in my thoughts. And honestly, I would probably be like a philosophical teacher in another world. So these are just my lectures. Welcome to my TED Talk. Maybe one day I will be on TED Talk. That's the goal, okay? That's what we want. We want to be on TED Talk one day. So that's why we're going to talk about reclaiming the narrative and what I want to show the world. You know, there's so many stories of compassion, survival, and dignity. And using fashion, culture, and media to uplift it could be really, really, really useful instead of just using it to distract us. You know, there's the biggest stories that I've ever been touched by are the people on the streets who I meet. I mean, one of my friends, his name is James. I haven't seen him in a few months, which is scary, but the last time I saw him, he pretty much had a broken jaw and he couldn't afford to go get, like, health care. So he was just on the streets with a broken jaw. His face was, like, almost unrecognizably large. Like, it's just really, really sad. They're, like, surviving on the streets. Like, one of the products he would ask me to bring sometimes is, like, little things that he could sell on the streets and stuff. So, because he doesn't do drugs or anything. And that's the other thing, is that people think that all of them are just these druggies out here to, like, destroy the universe. And, like, it's really not the case. There's another woman whose daughter is actually an OnlyFans influencer. And, like, the only reason why I am saying it in an annoyed way is not because I have a problem with OnlyFans influencers, but because this one is extremely narcissistic. She was tired of having to live with her mom, so after she got really, really famous, she moved out. And at first that was fine, but then her mom started struggling financially, and instead of offering her mother support, she said that she still didn't want her around, so now she's on the streets homeless. She tried to go, she doesn't drink, she doesn't do drugs. Then her name is Tina. She was so sweet, and she stays in the shelters, but the shelters are dangerous. She, like, fears for her life all the time because they're given roommates, completely random people, and a lot of times her roommates would be druggies, like people who, you know, do, like, heroin, cocaine, like really serious drugs. and especially the ones who may have been there for like rehab. She said that they would be even more scary because they're in, you know, like I can't remember what that's called, but like after they've been doing drugs for such a long time and then they stop taking them, they go through all these different like processes that are like, you know, not necessarily good. So if you're a roommate of somebody during that time, it's very traumatizing, very dangerous occasionally, because they can become very, very, very aggressive during those times of withdrawal, because of withdrawal symptoms. So, you know, that's another very, like, just so sad story. And, like, the system is trying to help her to get a place, you know, and I say trying to help extremely lightly, because what a lot of people don't realize is that there are systems in place that try to provide housing for individuals who are unhoused. But what people don't realize about that is that sometimes that waiting list that you're put on is so long that you still experience a crap ton of trauma in between that time. So what I mean by that is that she is on that list, but the process is still being continued. So she's been homeless for like over a year while all this paperwork stuff is still being quote unquote processed. And eventually it'll get figured out. But that's my point, is that even a woman who doesn't do drugs, doesn't do anything, just got pushed out by a family member and cut out pretty much, they end up on the streets. And that's what it is. That's exactly what ends up happening. And so it's just, it could be upsetting to hear that, because then right after that, you know, I go home from helping these individuals. I go home, put on my makeup, get a really pretty dress, and I'm going on to a red carpet event and acting like I didn't just talk to a homeless man whose jaw is broken and he can't go to the doctors to get it fixed. So I'm just sitting here trying to find him all soft food because he can't eat food anymore and there's nothing for him to drink. Like, I mean, how in the world can you unsee that kind of suffering? And how in the world can you exist in a glamorous place and not feel that jarring difference? And so because of the fact that I have the ability to be welcomed into those galas and types of places, especially because of my appearance, I just want to be able to use that for good, because I just know, like, that's one of the main reasons I love fashion and I make fashion content, is because I recognize that it's trendy. I hope for people to watch my content, be interested in it, and open it. You know, I try to make viral type of content, fashion content. And so my intention with that is just to attract people, and then with my writing, that's what kind of makes them stay and start to get more invested in me as a content creator, which I really like, and it's fun because I get to see and hear really incredible stories and thoughts on the things that I talk about. And it means so very much to me, because like what I'm writing is my heart and soul. So hearing people like say positive things is almost unreal, and it's extremely healing to me as well. But yeah, so I really want to use that to uplift people and not distract from their messages, you know. So, and I think like another good thing is like I want to spotlight my media as a weapon for good, you know, by redirecting attention at galas, red carpets, and media coverage about my, you know, growing desire for philanthropy, for activism, for things that truly do matter, giving back, helping, and making my presence about presence, you know. And I just feel like the people really forgot that. So, you know, my goal is to really just remind people that we need to be present, need to be grounded, need to help. It's important. When we help others, we help ourselves. It's like a butterfly effect. People don't truly get it all the time. They don't see the bigger picture. They don't see the vision that I see, which is why I try so hard to push and to speak and to say things to show people what my vision is. But they truly don't see how much of a butterfly effect your words can truly have. Like, just doing one small act of kindness can change someone's life. When I talk to people who are unhoused and I tell them, what can someone do if they don't have the money to support you? Like, what can they do to make you feel better? And a lot of them say just a smile, or like acknowledging them, or remembering their name if there's somebody who frequents your area. Like, it's little humane things, and for us that seems small, but for them it's so much, because they come from the community of our society that gets overlooked. You know, can you imagine what it must be like to walk barefoot through the streets alone, aimlessly all day and night, with no access to water, food? I mean, just really think about that for a second. Just really think about that. Put yourself in those shoes and watch how humbling it becomes really quickly. Watch how like, you know, an uncomfortable blanket that you don't like becomes real comfortable. You know, it's just an unshakable feeling. It's an unshakable feeling. So for me, it's like, I want to just start talking about these issues, which is what we're doing already, making awareness. And my goal is to start doing things that could actually make systemic change too. I mean, I do a lot of boots on the ground volunteering, so I would love to start hosting my own stuff in the future. But right now, it's all about building my platform, because I just don't think I have a large enough visibility just yet to really create any impactful change. At least not the type of change I'm trying to make. So right now I'm just focusing on building my platform, talking to people about philosophy and my ideas on certain things, and just getting my message out there to begin with, and trying to see if there's still people who believe in humanity, because I swear it's still there, it still exists. We're not doomed, okay? I strongly just believe in our humanity. So I'm like, please everybody, don't lose hope in us. Like, you know, we can do it. We'll figure this out somehow. And I don't want it just to be like, you know, I don't want to just be presence for the people who are forgotten, because not everybody who gets overlooked in our world comes from those who are unhoused. I think a really under talked about and like overlooked topic that happens is the growing mental health issues that happen within our wealthy communities. A lot of times people kind of downplay the struggles of people with money because they believe that money equates to happiness, but money really only provides you freedom. But freedom can only provide you happiness if you know how to use it. And the reason I say that is because money doesn't buy happiness. You can't just, oh my God, okay, let me just go buy happiness now. Like, it doesn't really work that way. So, you know, whatever psychological things somebody has going on, it's exactly the same. You just have a bigger wallet attached to it. But you have to make the decision. Are you somebody who goes into vices, or are you somebody who gets help? Most of them still go into vices, just like everyone else. So the money makes no difference. Because the root of the problem for people with addiction issues, for example, isn't money. Because look at all these individuals who are homeless. They find ways to make money just to buy drugs. But the issue is internal. I've seen people who are freaking drug addicts, but they're filthy rich, so it looks classy. And I'm talking about drug addicts. I don't mean like some people that I know who do like coke and stuff occasionally. I'm talking about real hardcore drug addicts. I have seen some drug addicts who are just really pretty and really popular and really like, you know, wealthy. So people glamorize it. But then when you look on the streets at people who are doing the same thing, we don't respect them. So, you know, I just wanted to say suffering is still happening on both sides of the scale. Money isn't what dictates happiness. If anything, I've actually noticed that there, like, some of the families who live on the streets are actually happier in a full household in comparison to a lot of American families that I currently know. A lot of them are divorced. Ironically enough, there's a lot of people who are families on the streets. So what does that tell you about happiness, bonding, and connection, you know? Even in your lowest points, that's like the time when you bond. When you go into these streets too, they have like their own version of community. There's a lot of like people who are homeless who say that they like to take the bus to downtown LA and like the parks and stuff because they like that sense of community. They don't like being alone, and they feel like being homeless makes them feel like they're alone all the time. I mean, it is. They don't have anywhere to go, so they kind of just roam around all day, every day. And so they would tell me that it would be nice to go and, you know, see people. They try to make friends, try to support each other when they can. But at the same time, it's super dangerous. You have kids getting trafficked. You have women getting trafficked. I mean, we just hear so many stories. And I want to be able to tell them, because I just don't think that the media is doing it justice. I really don't. And I think because of what's going on right now and like our current climate, you could say, I think that they're trying to like shut people up and keep things hidden. And I don't like that either. You know, I'm like, they don't want us talking about them, because the more we highlight other people's suffering, the more we come together to try to end those issues. And those issues that they've created helps them to stay successful. So they're not going to want us to talk about that, you know. But It's all good. We're gonna figure out our way. I'm almost done, but I'm starting to crash out. I'm getting tired here. That's the only downside about like doing it all on my own, because when I do it all on my own, I talk a lot. And I talk a lot, I do, and I have a lot of thoughts, but sometimes I start to get like, tired, you know. But we got one more segment and then the outro, so it's not too much left. So I just want to remind everybody about the mission, because the mission is love, justice, and grace. The bigger picture that I want people to understand is that I am just a vessel, not the destination. So when people support me, when they follow me, when they like my stuff, when they're commenting, when they do that, you guys are being a part of a movement that I'm trying to create. And that movement is to show to the world that kindness will always be stronger than hate, because I truly believe that hatred will collapse under its own absurdity when it's faced with authenticity and integrity. I will always believe that. I will always believe that. It's like my quote that I always listen to, okay? I'll say it one more time for the people in the back. Hate will always collapse under the weight of its own absurdity when it's faced with authenticity and integrity. I love that quote. I don't know how I thought of it, but it was just felt right when I was talking about it with someone. And that's why I always say to myself, I'm just a vessel, not the destination. My goal is not to like be some big whatever. It's to show to the world. I have like this weird chip on my shoulder that I was born with that told me, you need to show the world that love and kindness actually is a strength. You need to remind the world that love is a strength, that it's not lost. You know, so in my head, I like to call myself a modern day philosopher, because, you know, that's what I want. You know, I don't want to just do this to be a content creator or model or whatever, like people always try to box me into. Like, I would rather be a modern day philosopher. I'm a writer. I love philosophy. I'm super into literature. I could probably read like the first few chapters of a book and know exactly how it's going to end. And that could be nonfiction or fiction, okay? And I just feel like that's who I am. So my goal is collective. It's not individual. I really want to see the world be a better place. I know for sure that, of course, I want a luxurious life for myself too, but not at the expense of other people. I think my version of luxury is a little bit different than what other people's version of luxury looks like. And the funny thing is that like my version of luxury is extremely luxurious in a way that you can feel, not put on paper. And I think that's why luxury to me is different. Most people look at luxury as like things that are attainable, things that have to do with financing or whatever. For me, I think it's too abstract for that. That's too linear. So I'm like, no. Luxury has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with experience, feeling. To me, luxury is a feeling. And it's like, yes, of course, there's that surface level version of luxury that comes from finances and all that. But even if you have finances and you don't know how to use them, you won't be experiencing luxury. If you give $1 million to somebody who has nothing to spend it on, right? They're just gonna be somebody who has $1 million and nothing at the end of the day. You know, so that's kind of why I'm like, you know, it's just, for me, this is all collective. I would rather help people, help the world, give back, do some fun things, and show to the world that vulnerability is strength, guys. I'm sorry, but I just believe in it wholeheartedly. Stop using your fear as an excuse to like just self-sabotage yourself and then our entire society and try to blame all these other people when you're part of the issue. Like, guys, do you not realize that we supposedly live in a country that goes on majority rule? And when it comes to corporations and stuff, that is true. They follow analytics. So whatever you guys are buying, whatever you're watching, that's what they're selling back to you. So if you guys are unhappy with the types of things that you're seeing online or whatever, you're contributing to the production of those things. It's just in such a subconscious way because of our culture that you don't actively know it. You may know it to a certain degree because of how like analytics work, AI systems nowadays and all that stuff, but you're not truly aware of how deep it is, and that's what they don't want you to know. They want you to look at it as a superficial thing so that you never worry about it enough to out them and see what they're really up to. And that's why I'm like, okay guys, let's get real. Let's talk for real. Let's see what it is they're actually doing, because these 1% percentile individuals, they're doing all types of crap to try to like just mess up everything for everybody else. They're like, we want to be the only people who are successful, and we want to keep that pool limited, because let's just say you have, again, like $10. The less people you have to split it with, the more money you make. So they're just trying to pretty much print money and keep it within that 1 percentile, while also still growing the 1 percentile. I mean, it's just terrible. It's terrible. But it's what they do. And then because they all look pretty doing it, people glorify them. Because we are very superficial and very surface level too. So if somebody looks the part, we support it. There's so many people who look at a bookshelf and they'll pick a book because of the cover of it. I mean, the amount of people who do that should show you exactly what I'm talking about, because so many people do that, and that's not how you judge a book. You can't judge a book by its cover. And I know that's such a cliche saying, but it's so true. But we do it all the time. So now we have all these people, because when I would look into a deep dive of like why big Trump supporters love Trump so much, I would look into it, and a lot of them would say that it was because of how he looked. It was like they had this idea of what an American like successful figure or like successful president would look like, and he fit that embodiment. So instead of paying attention to his politics and his like, you know, policies and all those things, they went based off of his cover, you know, and that to me is not great for us, obviously. So I'm like, guys, we need to start feeling again, because the more we feel, the harder it would be for people to feel like things are okay when they're not. You know, we lack so much empathy and compassion in our culture at this point. It's like, I don't even know how people still care about each other. Like, I don't, because there's no empathy. I mean, the fact that we have people who are shooting up their schools and harming each other, I mean, it's all a lack of empathy, you know, because you have to lack empathy and compassion in order to harm another person like that. You have to somehow dehumanize those people, which requires you to lack empathy and compassion for them in order to justify causing harm to them, because as humans, we don't like, biologically, we do not like to harm things. So our brain comes up with narratives or justifiable reasons to justify why we are behaving the way that we are, doing the things that we do. And, you know, because of that, sometimes those justifications, even if they're unrealistic and untrue, they feel comfortable. So people latch onto them, and even if they're not true. And of course, that can be extremely dangerous, but people don't care about that. People really, really like comfort all the time. They're like, I'd rather be comfortable in my own bed, but that's, I know, is too small for me, than to go and be in that ginormous, fluffy cloud luxury bed, and I maybe will wake up from my nap because somebody comes to wake me up. Like, okay, so you're gonna waste, you know, a comfy couch because you think you could be woken up from your nap, and you'd rather be in a small bed that's uncomfortable just because you're used to it. I mean, I'm sorry, I just can't. I'd take over that cloud bed all day long. And if somebody wakes me up, they probably won't be able to, because I'd be so comfortable, you know. And that's why I'm just like, no, we need to chill, guys. We need to just learn how to care, learn how to access our heart's chakras again, because that's what it all breaks down to. If we had more love in our community, people wouldn't be hurting each other so much. But like, the other problem is that like our economy isn't very good right now. So there's a lot of inflation going on, and then our salaries aren't matching the inflation. So a lot of people are struggling financially, which leads to a lot of, you know, sadness and just unhappiness, justifiably so, of course. So, you know, it's just really a struggle, you know. And for me, this is all for the people who's ever felt like unseen or misunderstood, you know. And I just want you guys to know that you're not invisible. You know, you were just waiting for someone to truly look, because there's nothing wrong with who we are. We are completely deserving and capable of all the things that we want. Anytime that we don't do things, it's because of ourselves. We can go ahead and make excuses, We really can. But at the end of the day, you can have what you want. You're the only person getting in your own way. There are people who have lost all 4 of their limbs and live better, healthier, happier lives than people with all 4. I mean, and that just shows you the strength and the resilience and the capabilities that the human brain has. But because a lot of people, they just, aren't put into a situation, I guess, where they feel like they need to. It's sad that somebody would have to go through a near-death experience in order to live, but unfortunately, that's kind of a sad truth. A lot of people, it's what happens. They're not grateful until something happens, and then, they're like, wow, I should have known. But that's exactly why, for me, I live by that philosophy of living in the moment, living in the now, because I know, again, like I said in the last one, I'm not promised tomorrow. None of us are. And the more that you freak out about all the things that are coming up, you're just hurting yourself in the end. What good does it do? How will it change anything? You can't control how other people see you, how they act, what they do, what they say, how they live their lives. So you can spend all this time preparing and trying to get it perfectly in advance, but you're wasting your time. You just are. You're wasting your time. Because you wouldn't be where you were at if you didn't already have it in you. And, I just want people to sit with that, like, you really, really wouldn't be where you are if you didn't already have it in you. The trick is to harness it, not mold yourself into some kind of formation that somebody else told you should be. The goal at the end of the tunnel is still the same. How you choose to get there is up to you. If the outcome is still the same, why would it matter which way you go? The only time that it would matter is if you're going a way that's just, like, not good, like mean or harmful to someone, because, like, that would be not good. But in general, though, no. I say follow the yellow brick road of happiness. The yellow brick road of fun, because it's up to you. You can build that pathway. You can stay stuck at a crossroads, or you can build your own path around it and continue. Because life is hard. It will always be hard, and you deserve happiness. You deserve truth. You deserve peace. And you can't have any of those things if you keep getting in your own way, especially for those of you who are stubborn and have too much pride and too egotistical. You need to cut that crap out, because ego and pride is literally the, like, epitome of self-sabotage in a bottle. So instead of genie in a bottle, that's self-sabotage in a bottle. Pride and ego will have you screwing up your life completely in subconscious ways, and then you'll wait until it's too late and turn around and be like, wait, I can't believe I did it that way. Again, it's another psychological story that happens to people all the time. It's very sad, but it's like you waited until it's too late, and now you see and you look back at life and you see how differently you would have lived your life if you had known that this is how it would end. It's something that truly happens to a lot of people, and it's incredibly sad. Honestly, I want everybody to be happy. That's why I want to use my incredible giftedness and, like, genius intelligent with different things to try and find creative ways and creative solutions that others may not be able to see, simply because of the fact that they cannot think like me. So none of you guys are invisible. You're just waiting for someone to for someone to see you, and I see you, man, and I love you. I love you so much. So I just want to thank you guys so very much for being a part of today's episode. And I want to invite you guys to see others and to allow others to truly see you. Don't be afraid to be yourself. I really, really want you guys to be leaving this episode feeling like you have the permission to be you again. Because I like, just imagine me holding your hands and staring deeply into your eyes right now, because, like, I just want you to know that you are enough. You don't have to be anybody else in order to be enough. Anything that you do out of being yourself, it can be bonuses, but it's not the beauty of who you are. Who you are is what's beautiful. It's what's special. Who you are is what makes the world a better place. So you can't be, taking away your shine and dimming your light when the world needs you to shine that bright, So I want everybody here listening to this to be encouraged to do little acts of kindness, do something nice to someone else, smile at someone random, especially somebody who's displaced, and just be kind to yourself, because the kinder you are to yourself, the kinder you will be to the rest of the world, you know. And I also encourage you guys to go check out one of the last few episodes that we have done. We've had a lot of fun going on recently with all these things, so I'm very, very, very excited about that. And I thank you guys so very much for being a part of this. I hope that, you know, you'll see what I see and that you guys can be a part of this journey with me. And I just wanted to say that I really appreciate that you guys are being a part of this journey with me. You know, I'm still in the beginning phases of it. Sometimes I'm extremely uncertain, scared I won't really be able to make it, and imposter syndrome can really suck. But at the end of the day, trying and continuing to show up is exactly where it starts. And sometimes being able to just show up for yourself, especially, that's just enough, you know? Like, I don't have the perfect setup yet. I don't know all the things I'm doing yet, but it's not stopping me from doing what I want, you know? And that's all that life is about finding ways to find joy in the little intricacies of things. So wherever you are, whatever you're up to, whatever you're doing, I hope that you understand you are loved. And even if you don't love yourself, I love you. And I always will, because I don't need to know someone to show love, you know? So I hope you guys have a really amazing day or night wherever you are at. And I thank you once again so much for joining me in this episode. And I hope to see you guys again soon in my next episode. Thank you guys so much. XOXO, LJ. Part of me wants to start doing like an outro poem. Not like, maybe not poem, but like, you know, let me see if I could write something real quick, or like shorten something. I have so much writing that I could just go through it and see like what stuff I have and then create something from it. I have so much writing, guys, like so much. It's crazy. And if you take one thing from this episode, let it be this. I'm not here for the spotlight. I'm here to redirect it onto every soul who's ever been overlooked, unheard, or unseen. Fame isn't the goal. Visibility is. Because when you change who gets seen, you change who gets saved. So no, this dream was never about me. It's about us. All of us. And I won't stop until the world finally sees that. Thanks for listening, guys. And I'll see you in the next one. XOXO, LJ. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm about to eat so much ice cream right now, guys, and make a big dinner for myself. It's almost 11 p.m. Talking that much kind of drains me, so on the days that I film these, I like literally don't talk at all for like the whole rest of the day. But I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much. I apologize if the quality of this is choppy or not perfect yet. I'm still kind of figuring out how I'm going to do the visuals. This isn't even my studio. I still need to get like a special, like finish up the setup for my actual studio. Because right now I just use that studio for my Instagram content. And I have a beanbag where I want to be sitting, but I need a better mic stand for this mic. So I'm just waiting for that to come in, and then we will change the locations when I get the chance. But for now, this is what your girl's got. So I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much for being a part of this, especially since you guys are doing like the BTS version with the mess ups, the lack of editing and all that stuff. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you resonate with any of the things that I said, and please let me know what you think on any of my platforms. I love hearing what people have to say. So I love you guys very, very much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day today. All right, peace on the streets. I'm like, oh, tired.